I do like the flying though. Flying is actually pretty cool. Like flying in the Banshees. This is fun. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first installment of the Halo retrospective. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the game that started it all, Halo Combat Evolved, a revolutionary title for the original Xbox that started this legendary franchise. How well does it stack up today, and does it do a good job of getting me hooked and excited for the future of this franchise? Well, that's exactly the question I'm going to answer today. Keep in mind, throughout this retrospective, I will be talking from the perspective of someone that knows nearly nothing about this franchise. So, for example, going into this game, the only thing I knew was that it was a futuristic sci-fi FPS game starring Master Chief and Cortana as they tried to uncover the secrets of the mysterious Halo ring. So, with that little disclaimer out the way, let's begin the video, starting with the presentation. For a game that came out in 2001, Halo Combat Evolved looks and sounds spectacular. While sure, the models are blocky, animations are stiff, and the textures aren't anything impressive, the game does have amazing art direction and an atmosphere that just instantly grabs and pulls you into the wonderful world the devs have created. To highlight this, let's talk about the second level of this game, when you first step foot onto Halo. It's a magical experience. Just gazing upon the scenery hit me with a sense of awe and discovery. You can even see the other parts of the ring if you look at the skybox. It's a very nice touch, and that attention to detail is all throughout this game. Too bad you can't really sightsee for long as some Covenants arrive, forcing you to flee. Further on into the level, you go into this mysterious underground facility. It's dark and looks to be completely abandoned besides a few Covenants here and there. This area is very visually appealing and shows the excellent world building and atmosphere that is ever present in this game. So, on a quick side note, I played this game on the Master Chief Collection, and as such, it allowed me to switch between anniversary graphics and the original graphics. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. The original graphics beat the anniversary graphics every single time. And this underground facility is actually one of the best examples of why I believe that to be true. In the original graphics, this underground area is shrouded in darkness and it feels extremely massive and isolating. It makes the Chief seem like an ant, and that sense of scale adds to the aforementioned excellent atmosphere. The remastered graphics of this area, and really the game in general, are too bright and it does a very bad job at conveying the actual abandoned feeling that the original graphics, conveyed well. This will be a common occurrence throughout the game, as the remastered graphics just are all around not very atmospheric or visually appealing, which is why I played the entire game in original graphics. Anyway, that's my little tangent over. Let's get back on topic, shall we? Alongside the, gorgeous environments, the character and weapon designs are iconic and very recognizable. All I gotta do is show the helmet, and even people that don't game can recognize it as Master Chief's helmet, or at least, the guy from Halo. That really goes to show how strong this game's art direction is, and when it comes to weapons, I mean, have you seen the Needler, and the energy sword, and the pistol, and the assault rifle? You kinda get the point. It's all very iconic. Alright, we're almost done with the visual / presentation part of this video, but before we move on, I want to quickly talk about the OST for this game. So, everyone knows the Halo theme, it's in all the memes, but on the real though, Halo has an absolutely amazing soundtrack. It really caught my ear while playing because I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. Every track perfectly fit whatever level it was in, whether it be adventurous, atmospheric, or adrenaline pumping. Some of my favorite tracks being Walk in the Woods, which kind of give me Metroid vibes. To the tension building theme for the Flood, which is just absolutely fucking amazing. Halo's soundtrack definitely does not disappoint, and I'm very glad that the composer actually gave the game a good soundtrack because I feel like some people don't understand the importance of a good soundtrack. One of the first things people remember when you think back of something is how it sounds. But enough about how pretty the game looks and sounds. Let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of this video, which of course is the gameplay. How does Halo play? Halo plays like a traditional console FPS, so it has all the things that you would expect. A 2-weapon limit, slow movement, regenerating health, but kinda not since there's only the shield that regenerates, but you get the point. The base gameplay is very traditional. However, Halo does many things differently from the average shooter that I really appreciate, such as a focus on sandbox environments. Before we get into that, I want to talk about the pace of the game. Now, when it comes to FPS games, I play super fast-paced ones like Doom, Dusk, or Ultra Kill. So the sword-placed nature of Halo really threw me for a loop. You can't just run and gun, you have to be very deliberate with your actions, survey your surroundings, and plan accordingly. Unfortunately, my monkey brain didn't quite grasp that at first, so I suffered a lot of deaths as a result of me being ultra-aggressive. So remember how I mentioned Halo having sandbox elements? Well, Halo has a very large emphasis on wide open sandbox areas that have weapons and vehicles strewn about, allowing you to craft your own way of approaching situations. Unfortunately, the sandbox gameplay, which to me is the best part of this game, is sadly underused, as I can only really recall a few levels that put you in big open areas. Yeah, a lot of this game is unfortunately relegated to corridor shooting, and it's very disappointing. However, this is the first game, so I'm sure the sequels will rectify the lack of sandbox levels. Throughout the game, you'll come across a few different vehicles to use at your disposal. They unfortunately are also pretty underused, but when they are in use, it's always a fun time. But for example, the Warthog is a very fun vehicle to drive around in, especially if you've got like an AI companion or if you're playing co-op. You can have a lot of fun just driving around and trying to run over all the enemies. It's great. Another standout vehicle is the Banshee. It can fly, and the level it's used in takes full advantage of that, having you fly up, down, and all around. It's very amazing. Too bad it's only in that one level, as far as I remember. The vehicles are a great addition to the game overall, but I do feel like they can be used more, just like with the sandbox environments. But, as I said before, I'm pretty sure this issue will be rectified in the sequel. Now, overall, I think Halo's gameplay is actually pretty good, but there is one glaring issue, and that is the weapon balancing. It's way off, to be honest. Every gun has its niche, however, while playing the game, I noticed that some of these weapons were practically worthless, while others were just straight up OP. When talking about the OP weapons, the pistol is by far the best weapon in the game. It can literally do anything. It has high damage, far range, and plentiful ammo. Every weapon is rendered obsolete by it, to be honest. And on the contrary, the assault rifle is damn near useless. I cannot find one thing it's good at. The range is poor and the damage is laughable. Sure, it fires fast, but you have to be right next to them to even get any meaningful damage. I always toss it away at the first chance I got. All the other weapons range from okay to good. The sniper rifle is excellent and very satisfying to use, but it has a very limited ammo pool. The shotgun is a beast at close range and an absolute necessity when fighting the Flood. However, you only really get the shotgun in the later levels. The Covenant weapons, all of them, are just okay at best. The Needler is cool, but I wouldn't pick it over the other weapons I've mentioned. The Plasma pistol is alright, but it's really only helpful against like flying enemies. So while I don't hate the weapons of Combat Evolved, I definitely think they need some work, especially when it comes to balancing. Halo has a wide variety of enemies, from the cowardly grunts who are easily killed and often run away from you, the little cowards, to the hulking brutes that chase you down and are heavily armored. The Covenant are very fun to fight, and their wide variety actually does a lot to mix up combat encounters, as some are better at long range, some chase you down, and others ride vehicles. It all works to create a varied combat encounters, similar to Doom Eternal. The Covenant do have a bad habit of grenade spam. It got to the point where grenades were actually more dangerous to me than the Covenant themselves. It wasn't aggravating, however it did get pretty annoying, but that's a minor complaint. On the whole, the Covenant are very fun to fight. The same cannot be said for the second enemy type in this game, the Flood. While conceptually I love the idea of the Flood, these gross parasitic organisms that take over bodies and spread like wildfire. When I first encountered them, I couldn't help but think of the Newcomers from Dead Space. The cutscene that introduces them is masterfully crafted. However, the problems start once you actually begin fighting them in combat, more specifically on level 7, the library. The combination of tight corridors, infinitely spawning enemies, and samey looking environments make this level an absolute hell to fight through. Especially when considering that the only viable weapons against the Flood is the shotgun and the pistol. And unfortunately for me, I did not pick up these weapons until way later in the level, so I had to use the shitty assault rifle and suffer through the entire first part of this level. It was horrible. The Flood are just so tanky, and they rush you in absolutely massive hordes. It's just not a fun combat experience. Also, screw the Rocket Flood. These guys are placed in the most inconvenient of spots, usually blindsiding me as I went around corners. So to summarize the last 5 minutes of this video, Halo Combat Evolved has good gameplay, but there's just so many glaring issues aside from being an outstanding gameplay experience in my eyes. But that's really all I have to say about the gameplay. Now, let's talk a little bit about the story, which is one of Halo's other defining features. Halo Combat Evolved tells a simple story that does a perfect job at establishing the world, the universe, and its characters, as well as setting up things that will surely be expanded upon in future titles. Master Chief, while only saying a few words, was very entertaining, and I loved his back and forth with Cortana. The Monitor, which I guess can be considered the antagonist of the later half of this game, was pretty cool as well. I like his soft-spoken tone of voice, even though he's leading us to, certain death. The revelation that Halo was actually designed to kill all living things is a very shocking reveal, and really goes to show how serious of a threat the Flood really are. The soldier characters were actually pretty boring, and I can't really remember any of their names. All I can remember is that one of the sergeants gets morphed into this weird Flood ball thing, but overall, I'm very excited to see where this story goes, and I can safely say that I'm hooked. Unfortunately, besides those few things, I don't really have much to say about the story, as it was pretty light in this game. Now for the final section of this video, I'm going to talk about my negatives for this game. I've already gone over a few, such as the weapon balancing, the Flood, and the library, but I have a few more issues with this game. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. The later half of this game feels like a major step down in quality. The biggest issue is the level design. I don't know what happened, but after the introduction of the Flood, the levels started feeling longer, more drawn out, with a lot of the areas looking exactly the same, very copy and pasted. The library, of course, being one of the most egregious examples of this. All the hallways look the same, and often there are arrows on the ground telling you where to go, like it's freaking downtown from Doom 2. It's absolutely ridiculous and really soured my experience with the later half of this game. Especially when you think about earlier levels like the Silent Cartographer, which is the best level in the game, it has the best level design, it's so fun. Overall, across all the aspects of this game, I found Halo to be a fun yet flawed experience that had moments of pure greatness. I would say it suffers from what I dub first game syndrome, and that's where the first game in any given series has a rocky start because the developers aren't really sure what they want to do with the franchise yet. Many games suffer from this, like Sonic 1, Devil May Cry 1, Mass Effect 1, so on and so forth. This game is no different, but that's not to say that I didn't enjoy my time with this game. No, quite the contrary. I had a very fun time with this game, and I'm very excited to get into Halo 2. I've heard many things about that game. But without further ado, thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you all in my next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. A-Rock out.